on the money on the gas, and lots of it. 10 billion cubic meters. Is that the sort of figure they're suggesting?
It's a lot.
Ships will be going across the Atlantic, surely.
It's a lot. We need to put this in context, Mark. You'll remember when we were young, as it were, back in the day, there was lots and lots of North Sea oil being produced, lots of North Sea gas, and the UK became a net oil exporter, a net energy exporter to the world. We are now, since about 2005, we've been a net energy importer. I've got a graph here. You can actually see what's going on. If we look back, if we can see the graph now, well, maybe there it is. So you'll see back in the 1970s, this is the share of our energy that we import from around the world. That share went negative with North Sea gas. That means we're an oil. That means we're an energy.
That was natural gas, wasn't it, coming out of the sea?
Natural gas. And oil. The UK became a major energy producer, and then back about 2005, that energy dependence went positive again, and now we're getting about 30 or 40% of our energy from the rest of the world. Now, gas is particularly important. It's not just gas for cooking your baked beans on the hob. About 40% of our electricity is generated from gas-fired power stations. And because Europe previously got about a third or 40% of its natural gas from Russia in some years, because we're weaning ourselves off, this has been a tremendous opportunity for the US natural gas industry. They're fracking gas in the US.
This is the shale stuff.
They liquefy the gas.
Yep.
They put it in these incredible LNG boats, ships that have these kind of bulbs on top of them, 3 bulbs, absolutely full of liquefied natural gas. And then when the gas is delivered, and the UK has 3 major international LNG delivery ports, then it's transformed back into gas, and it can then be sold. We're much, much more dependent on US gas now than we used to be, and this deal reflects that.
But from what you were saying yesterday, can we store the stuff here when it comes over the Atlantic? Have we got the storage facilities to keep 10 billion cubic meters?
No, and that's why we are so reliant on frequent deliveries. Now, a lot of these deliveries, right, they use the UK LNG terminals for gas going to the EU. Believe it or not, Mark, despite what you may read and hear most of the time about our trade with the EU, being walloped by Brexit, we're actually exporting more to the EU than we ever have, right? But some of that increase in exports to the EU has been us processing liquefied natural gas and then sending it on as gas back through the interconnector. But that partly reflects the fact that we haven't got much gas storage ourselves. And that's why Rishi Sunak is signalling with this deal. And look, this isn't a deal between governments. This is a deal the British government is going to private sector gas providers in the US and saying, we are going to buy lots of gas off you. Please give us a nice price because we're booking lots for the next year or so going forward. But we're doing that because we have so little gas storage ourselves.
And we understand that the conversations were actually between Liz Truss and Joe Biden. That it's not actually Rishi Sunak's done it. But, I mean, from what you've described about, getting it across the Atlantic, in the boats, into the terminal, this sounds an expensive process. Have we got any idea what it's going to cost us?
We don't, because it depends. It will be a negotiation. Look, if you go to a warehouse and you want to buy, lots and lots of baked beans, right, you're going to get a lot cheaper if you buy pallets of baked beans than if you went to your local supermarket to buy 1 or 2 tins that you put in your shopping basket. And that's what...
Economy of scale, I call it, isn't it?
That's right. It's bulk buying is always going to give you a better price. So what the UK is trying to do, and this is not, we're not doing a deal with the White House here. There's lots of diplomacy and glad-handing and handshaking and chest-beating, and we're doing the right thing. We are going to US private sector gas providers. The US doesn't have a big state oil and gas sector, it's private sector, and they're going to drive a hard bargain. And the only way it will be cheaper than it otherwise would be is because we're buying lots, right? But what Sunak is trying to do, he's trying to signal to the market and also signal to voters that we have got this idea of energy security, given that we are now a major energy importer in hand, and he's trying to fend off the idea that there could be power outages this winter.
And I mean, they've warned about, blackouts between 4 and 7 p.m. on very cold days, sort of maybe softening us up for that. But let's talk about the wholesale market, because you've explained before, no matter what you do in terms of securing your supply and whatever price you get, you're still linked to the overall price of that wholesale market. Can we actually, get away from that and go separately with the USA?
Yeah. What we're doing now, what you just referred to, Mark, we were previously talking about the wholesale market. So, getting gas in that then is sent to the power generators that generate the electricity. They then sell it to the energy providers who then sell it to households. The issue we've got in the UK, aside from the actual supply of gas, which Sunak is trying to address here, isn't it ironic, just in passing, that we're talking about a major fossil fuel gas deal at COP27?
The day after Egypt.
As if this is sort of linked to it. I mean, having just banned fracking in the UK, where we can get our own domestic gas, which would be a lot cheaper. But that's just to one side. And important.
I suspect that might be discussed in the days ahead.
I think I'm just preempting tomorrow's discussion, Mark. But what you then referred to is the fact that even though we're using more renewable energy, right, and some days renewables are 40 or 50% of our electricity.
On a windy day.
They are serious, right? They are serious. They can't be dismissed as some kind of windmills and sun. They are serious. They are going to form a major part of our energy supply. The problem is, though, because of the way the energy market works in the UK, electricity prices, even when they're generated by renewables, are linked to the price of gas. That's what I was talking to the head of Siemens UK about last week. Why is that? I still don't understand why we shouldn't get cheaper electricity if it's developed by renewables that have been subsidised by taxpayers for ages. It seems to me there's some kind of rigging of the market, at least some imperfection in the market. And if I were politicians, that's where I would be focusing my attention, trying to free up electricity prices. So if it's renewable electricity, they say it's cheaper to produce. If it is cheaper to produce,
go ahead and do it.
Then let's see it. Let's see it as households and firms. We're going to need it.
We shall see.